And the Geek Shall Inherit the podcast. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Scoop Dog. Welcome back to another episode of And the Geek Shall Inherit the podcast. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe button before we get into things, that would be greatly appreciated. So I'm excited to be back doing another recap / review. And I've been waiting for this series for a long time. We're going to delve into Welcome to Derry. The first episode finally dropped, and off the rip, knowing that Andy Muschietti is behind this is very interesting, because even though right from the beginning of this episode we get this kind of wacky feel that kind of made me think of more of like some stuff that we saw in The Flash, some things that are along the lines of Andy Muschietti style. But the opening sequence right away is insane bonkers, with this child who is definitely from a battered home. He just snuck out of a theater. You know, the usher tried to catch him. He runs away from this theater. He's trying to hitchhike away from Derry. He wants to get away from Derry no matter what, and it's freezing cold. He's walking along this along this road trying to hitchhike, and his family picks him up, and they seem like the sweetest family, so nice. Other cars pass this kid by. It's a real cold place, literally. And then things start going crazy in this freaking car when just the slightest thing, where the daughter who's sitting in the back opens up a Tupperware of raw liver soaking in this gelatinous liquid. It's like the blood of the juices of the liver, and she just wants to dip her fingers in and sniff it, while the little brother of the family is just spelling out words that the mom is calling out. And then from there, things go crazy when he realizes that they're not leaving Derry. They're supposed to be going to Portland, and they're heading right back towards Derry. And without giving away too much, right? There's me telling you the sequences is one thing, but there's just certain things that you have to see for yourself. When things start going crazy in this car and we realize things aren't what they're supposed to be, things aren't what they appear to be, I was just saying to myself, this better not be a dream sequence. If this boy wakes up and this is a dream, I'm not watching the rest of the episode, or I'm not taking the rest of this episode seriously. I hate dream fake outs. I despise dream fake outs because they're so predictable, and a lot of the times what you see in the dream sequences are 10 times better than what they actually give you in the waking world. Okay, so I have to give you this one detail because it ties into something that happens at the end. So the mother in this car is giving birth to something otherworldly. Like, you can tell, like, by the way her stomach starts popping like Jiffy Pop, something evil's coming out. I was half expecting to see a tiny Pennywise baby come out, and it's not. It's this mutated baby, which connects to the news on the radio that they were listening to when they were talking about the Russian nuclear plant that had some sort of leak, and there was mutations being caused there. This is all going to tie into Pennywise and the evil that comes to Derry, I believe. And this baby that comes out of her has wings, and it's flying all around the car, and she's holding it by the umbilical cord. I didn't think anything was going to top 28 years later. There is a scene in 28 years later where a zombie woman, pregnant, gives birth to a baby. It is the grossest thing I thought I'd ever seen until what just happened in this show. This might have been one of the craziest scenes that I've seen on a TV series. It set the tone. Question is, does it actually hold up? In terms of the opening sequence, I give you guys a 9 out of 10 on horror, shock factor, and overall creepiness. In Derry, we have this military air base, and there's a super restricted area. We see this through one of the main characters, Major Hanlon, and he just arrives in Derry, and they're giving him a tour of the base, and they drive by this hangar that says, I don't even know how it stood out so that they even drew attention to it. It seemed like very forced to point it out, but anyways. And I also like the teenagers, the kids at the high school. I didn't catch their names, but there's one in particular who we see right after the introduction of the show. First, when you see him and he's marking down times and watching airplanes coming in, you think that, oh, he's just a teenager who loves airplanes. Later on, you find out that he is a conspiracy nut, and he thinks that there's something mysterious going on with the army base and the planes that are coming in. The teenager aspect is really interesting because that's where we start to learn a lot about the mysterious disappearance of the boy from the beginning, whose name is Maddie. And we learn from the high school kids, like Teddy, he's the little one. He's the one who's he's a little bit more sensitive. He's dealing with the 4-month anniversary of the disappearance of Maddie, while the conspiracy kid, he has a harder time showing his feelings. He's showing more anger, and he doesn't want to talk about it. He wants to joke more. He wants to hide his emotions towards the loss of his friend. And then we kind of learned that they weren't really that close. It was more a sympathy friendship they would give him, or they wanted to be friends with him, but they were afraid of what other kids were going to say, that they were hanging out with the weirdo kid. Very high school, very realistic in that sense. And then we have the girl Lily, who has some sort of issue, and she's on medication, and she had a connection with him that she also kept a secret from her friends because, same reason, scrutiny, mean teenagers. Maddie actually had a crush on her, and he brought her to this spot that only like the boys would go to show her like the view of Derry and the fireworks, and he tried to have a little puppy love kiss with her and got rejected, and that's where that flashback with them ended. So she never even told anyone that she had this conversation and that he was so nice and he listened to her, because she lost her father in a very gruesome way, which the teenagers tease her for, which once again, effed up teenagers. Her father used to work at a pickle factory and fell into one of the machines and got grinded up, and she feels guilty for it. So the kids would tease her by putting jars of pickles in her locker, and the rumors that bits of the father's body was found in like tons of jars of pickles all across Derry. Kids, man. So cruel. So we learned that she didn't even tell anyone about her connection to the kid either, until one night when she has sort of like this psychic connection to him, where she hears his voice coming through a drain in the bathtub, and he says that he can't be free, he won't let me leave, and his bloody finger comes through the drain, and she tells the other two boys that this happened, and they're kind of having a hard time believing it, which I can understand that, but it's actually really interesting knowing that he has the ability to reach out. So I'm wondering, does this kid have the shine in him? And the reason why I pose that question is because when he was in the car with the crazy family and the incident happens in there, he closes his eyes and he shuts his mind off and he focuses, and he has this pacifier that, for a kid his age, it's like a trauma thing that he does, and he's tuning out. And it just reminded me of Danny from The Shining and how Dick Halloran taught him how to block out the demons from the Overlook Hotel. So I don't know. I'm hoping this kid is still around. We'll see. But as the story goes on, more interesting things are coming out. I'm always looking for that in any Stephen King adaptation, something that connects his universe, because we all know that everything is connected. And when you see the turtle, you know that we are definitely in the realms of Stephen King. They're going through like their candies and finding these little toys in them, and he gets the little turtle, which we all know is Madeline, is one of the 12 guardians of the beam, and the beam, in the center of the beam, is the Dark Tower. So that was a cool reference, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be tons of other Easter eggs going on here. And speaking of the character of Teddy, we see him in it with his family having dinner. Teddy's also getting ready for his bar mitzvah, and he's supposed to be studying, but instead he has like a comic tucked inside the Torah, and then the dad finds it and pulls it out, and lo and behold, a Flash comic book. And then in the next scene, and the other comic that he's reading in bed is an issue of Batman from the Detective comic series, and it's a Batman versus Clayface. Ooh, how you slid that Easter egg in, sir. You are quite sneaky. I love it. The show follows a lot of the same beats as the first It movie, which is the thing that I like the least about this episode, because if you've seen it and you've watched it numerous times, it kind of feels like you've been here before. Even like the group of the teenagers are like the previous version of the Losers Club. But what I liked that they did with this was, in the end, they did something very unexpected. One, I was expecting this theater scene to just be another, remake of what I felt was the best scene from the first It movie. When I saw that in theaters, when they were in the garage watching the movie reel, and then Pennywise comes through the screen as this giant, when I saw that in theaters, I was gripping the sides of my seat really tightly. It was embarrassing. So I thought, okay, this is what they're gonna do, and they kind of did something like that. But the casualties that occur at the end of this episode is what I was not expecting, and I applaud them for taking that risk. So where I was about to deduct the point, you have me back because of what you did at the end. We also get a bit into the conspiracy now. We find out what the plot is with that. There's a plane that they want Major Hanlon to fly. It's like a B-52 or something. And there's schematics for it. And there's these people, an organization that want the schematics for that plane for some reason. And they break into his dormitory and try to beat it out of him, or threatening to kill him for it. And I thought it was the racist guy Masters who didn't want to salute him. If it is, that was way too obvious. Hopefully they do not make him part of that. Like I said, you see that coming a mile away. But it was a very interesting episode. I hope that moving forward, they break away from the familiarity of the previous two It movies, because those take place in two different time periods. So this is the 60s. Give us something fresh. Give us something new. And the last little connection to the whole army aspect is they have a quick shot of a character who, whenever I see this actor, I know there's trouble coming. I love him too. Chris Chalk, if you know him from Gotham, he played Lucius, and he was also in Homeland. He was that sixth sniper in Homeland, the first season of it. Seeing him makes me wonder, who is he going to be? What is his role in this? And I have a little bit of an idea, but I'm not gonna say it yet. Let's wait until episode 2. What did you guys think? If you saw the episode, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts.